Amazing to be young, isn't it? Yeah, I'm still young. Hi, welcome to the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, and Ralph's Greatest Hits. Yes, we've been at this 12 whole weeks now, and so we have enough material built up for a highlight show. We're going to revisit all the stuff we did during the playoffs, some of the great guests, some of the fun we had, some of the jokes we had. We're going to do a show and tell montage, a little bit of 100 Miles from Hockey segment. We're going to put all of that together. And we are also going to have outtakes and bloopers. And believe me when I tell you, I'm pretty good at getting things in a take and all that stuff. It's kind of what I do. But there's a ton of bloopers too. I'm getting older. So, without further ado, my assistant Kelly Ortiz is producing this show this week, and here it is, Ralph's Greatest Hits on the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, now.
So if you don't have your game in order going into the first round, I'm not so sure you can just flip a switch on that says, okay, we'll get it back. And with the absence of Heiskanen, I think there should be real concern for the Dallas Stars.
Where do you see this series decided, Craig?
I see it decided up front and not so much about forwards versus forwards, but what the Colorado Avalanche have been able to do is bolster the size in their lineup. And, Jared Bednar really wants players that are smart, but the playoffs are about who can go the hardest, the longest. And when you got bigger players that can lean in and really force you into extending yourself, not beyond your limits, but to your limits. And the team that can do that the best ultimately end up being able to compete for the Stanley Cup. So I think the size of the Colorado Avalanche forwards, with the absence of Miro Heiskanen's on the Dallas blue line, it is where the series has to be in the favor of the Colorado Avalanche.
Where do you think the Stars might have an advantage in this series?
I think the Avs did a lot to address what I'm about to say, but it's the forward depth. I really respect Dallas's depth lines 1 through 4. Even without Jason Robertson, I still think that they're a really deep team, and they have a top 6 that can go toe-to-toe with Colorado's. Colorado's has the high-octane offensive threats, but I think players like Jamie Benn or Mason Marchment's playing up in the lineup as a result of a player like Robertson being out. I think those types of players are really difficult to play opposite of. And this is where not having Val Nichushkin in the series to close it out last year really cost the Avs, because that is a style of hockey that they can match, that Dallas does very well. And I think it's going to create problems, because no matter the matchups, lines 1 through 4 for Dallas are going to be difficult to play against. And I don't think that the way that the Avs like to typically create is going to come easily to them as a result of this.
And depth is so important. These guys aren't necessarily counted on to lead, but they are leading. And then you, Nostradamus Savannah, decided that you might want to talk to Colin Blackwell right before the series, and you did, and he's the Game 2 winner, and I retweeted your piece. How important is the depth that Dallas has to what they're trying to accomplish, especially now?
Oh, it's incredibly important, both for the forwards and for the defensemen. When it came down to the forwards, what I really liked to see was the consistency, what Pete DeBoer did this year, especially with that fourth line. They've been very consistent in their shooting all season long, and they've played together majority of the season. So when Colin Blackwell, when he had that game 1 as the healthy scratch, and then he comes back into game 2 with the consistent line being with Sam Steele and Oscar Back, I was like, there's going to be that magic, because Pete DeBoer had talked about how happy he was with the fourth line this season and their overall arrangement. But as you go up the line, there's a lot of consistency across the board. I think the missing puzzle piece there was Mikko Rantanen, because they're trying to find his spot where he fits into that line. And so I think that's the only piece that's been a little bit off as far as finding that consistency for him. But depth at the forward and defenseman at this position or this time, it's so imperative.
and we enjoy that you're still in hockey. I enjoyed watching you so much. Stars and Avalanche again, and every time this happens, I go back to those two big series, the '99 and the 2000. What do you remember about those series and how epic it was back at Reunion Arena?
How powerful they were up front. It's just scary. I mean, you go down the roster, still, it makes you like, wow. But we were, I'd say, we were pretty good back then. We knew where we can take advantage on those guys. They had a great goalie. I'll say it again. They had unbelievable players. Unbelievable players up front, but they weren't as good on the back end. So our guys, we knew where where we can
attack them.
Attack them, and I guess with the even effort, we still had a little edge. From our goalie, from the group, little better effort.
As a singer and what I do, you do feel that. Like I feel, but I go out there, it's so energized and the fans are so loud. And I will tell you, even for this first series that we're in right now, I have come off the ice and people are stopping me going, what did you do? I don't consciously do it, but I sing with I sing louder, I sing with so much more passion. Because I feel it and I want everybody else to feel it. Like I want them to feel like this anthem, this is different, this is big. Like we need to start it. And I always say, like, I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna kick this off and I'm gonna bring the energy that we need. And I think I just naturally just bring a little bit more, but that feeling like you can't. And the deeper you go in the playoffs, oh my gosh.
I think when it comes to Ottinger, it's making sure you don't create too many rebounds, that you aren't responsible for too many rebounds, because 16.5% of Winnipeg's goals this season were off of the rebound, which is a really high number when you think about it. So definitely you want to avoid rebounds altogether. But I think especially when it comes to this offense, it's something that the Stars and Ottinger have to be mindful of. And it's especially important because, look, we talk about bad Hellebuyck games, but he could also just as easily have phenomenal performances. And so then the question is, do you trust the Stars forward depth to be able to manufacture something, get to the net, make it dangerous? If they can, then that's fine. It almost doesn't matter who the netminder is and how they're performing. But if they can't and they're having to settle for longer shots, I think that's when they could get in trouble.
It's always great to see you, and I'm sure you, like the rest of the NHL, rubbing their palms about this series. The Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Final. They met a year ago. Edmonton beat them in 6 games, but it was maybe a little closer than we all thought. What did we see from last year's series that might play this time?
Well, it's way too close. And I actually think this is kind of like my Stanley Cup final. Whoever comes out of it, sure, will be beaten up too. So not sure about how the actual final will go, but this is going to be an incredible series. It was so close last year. 2 games were by 1 goal, including that game 6. And goals were 17-14 for the Oilers. Scoring chances, so high-quality shots, 72-69 for the Oilers. So only 3 more high-quality shots in that whole series. On-man rushes, 19-18. So both played with some speed, very, very tight. But it goes to show you, it's like those little bounces too. And you have to have consistent performance by those top-end players. So last season, McDavid led that series, 10 points. But Jamie Benn had 7 points. He was the most for the Dallas Stars.
You and I write about these things. We look at it. We see a guy like Joel Quenneville go to the front of the line, even after all the bullshit, right? And a guy like Sergei Zubov, who I use just as an example here, was a head coach in the K for a long time, knows the game as well as anyone, was a teammate of Pat Verbeek's, and Verbeek won't even pick up the phone and call him. What do you think about this bullshit where they will not interview those guys and then they use this weak-ass language to try and defend it? Your thoughts?
No, 100%. I think part of it is their own limitations. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot since you published that article, which was awesome. And I just feel like maybe they don't want to get out managed by their coach, if that makes sense. Where like the coach comes in and has new ideas that they have to learn. You know what I mean? Somebody who knows the system is less work for them and less, oh, let me see what X, Y, and Z is. I haven't heard about that term. I haven't learned about that. It's even with when Rod wouldn't put Nikishin in because he didn't have a translator and I'm like, okay, that you're at a disadvantage. Some of these coaches and some of these management teams are at a disadvantage because they won't hire or even interview the best out there because they are comfortable and they know how things are done here, and that's just biting them in the butt. But that's why you see someone like Eric Tulsky, who's a progressive GM who is starting to turn the wheels on hiring different people that actually are smart, and he can understand them and he can adapt differently. But part of the old boys club, why they're so dedicated to each other, is because they don't challenge each other and they don't have to.
I remember this was probably in kindergarten when I went up to my parents and I said, when I grow up, and I remember being so excited about it. And I remember saying, when I grow up, I want to be an artist. But it was in that moment my parents shut that dream down so quick. They were like, no, that's not realistic.
Is that when they gave you golf?
Yes. I ended up being recruited by William Penn University in Iowa and played all 4 years. And when I graduated, I said I was done with golf. I was like, I want to pursue the arts or something in the creative field.
Here we go. This is me and Sal, and we're walking in to Coachella, which is
First time here.
which is right there. Okay. We're going to call this, it's Ralphcella and Salcella
And Gagacella.
and Gagacella. Yes. Here we go. Here we are, Coachella. This is the VIP area. See that? We just got in the gates, me and Nephew and Sal. They got food. I think we want food. We'll see what happens here. Ah! It's another beautiful day in the Coachella Valley. The trees up behind me, right in my front yard. And I'm ready to go for a game day bike ride and a little workout. Come on.
It's the chaos that brings you down. But it's amazing to be young. Sometimes I wake up.
This one behind me, it's Red Skelton's house.
From the ritual that puts me in the path. But I sang.
Now it's time for a little, hit the bag, throw a few weights around, take an outdoor shower courtesy of Mags Yang. You got the drill.
Chaos. Brings you down. but it's amazing to be young.
After a good bike ride and a workout, we hit the jacuzzi. Then, right to the pool.
Free from the ritual that puts me in the past.
Now it's time, as you just saw, for Ralph's Show and Tell. First, I want to point out we're in my living room is the studio for the Ralphcast. And behind me is a really nice 3-panel work from my friend Darren Taylor, the 3 periods of Ralph's life. And as you can kind of see it in the background, you'll see when I was first starting out as a kid, and then when I was doing it, and then what I'm doing now. And we'll get to that on a show and tell very soon, and I'll kind of take you through what that is. But today's show and tell, again, we're talking about the last game I did for the Stars. What I would do every year, this is my scorebook, okay? So in the scorebook, and this is a picture of Vern Fiddler. I had a contest that year, and one of the fans gave me this idea, and so I did a Vern Fiddler, Andy Warhol thing. And then inside the book, as you'll see, is every game, okay? And this is my handwriting and all of that. And what we do is we go to the very last page of the very last game I did for the Dallas Stars under their employ, and it was the Jamie Benn Art Ross Trophy winning game. And so here you'll see that Jamie Benn needed 4 points that night to win the Art Ross scoring trophy, right? And so right here at the bottom, I have Ben Art Ross, and I have the point numbers 84, 85, 86, 87. And I'll tell you 2 things about this. Number 1, that last point, he got a secondary assist on the goal, and that was the point that gave him the Art Ross scoring trophy in the final seconds of the game. I wasn't sure it was his assist. I'm still not sure it was his assist. But on my call, I sold it that it was his assist, and I think that helped the scorekeepers upstairs put it on the sheet that it was his assist, and I think that helped him get the Art Ross trophy. So, Chubbs, you're welcome.
Blocked in rebound. And Ben kept it into Daly with 10 left. Ben in front, a shot, they score! Ben gets the second assist!
Also, at the very bottom of this, you'll see I knew it was going to be my last game, even though I had 4 years remaining on my contract. I wrote La Fin, the end, at the very end, because I knew that was going to be the last time I would walk out of the American Airlines Center as an employee of the Dallas Stars. So, hope you enjoyed today's show and tell. Hope you remember that some of the stuff I've collected over the years is also kind of fun to show you. And we'll do it again next week. Thanks for joining us on Ralph's Show and Tell. I love that theme song. Hey, it's Ralph's Show and Tell, and it's Stanley Cup playoff time, so let's get right to it. I have in this box my Stanley Cup ring. You see, it says Ralph Strangis on the box, and you open the box, and inside the box, we have a green box, another box. And then you push this button, and you open it up, and there's Ralph's Stanley Cup ring. Ooh, isn't she pretty? The ring had 3 different levels, okay? The A level, the one the players and the executive vice presidents and the PR guy got, but not Razor and I. Oh no, we didn't qualify for the A level rings. So if you were a VP or you got these, and it had a green diamond in the center of the star, interlocking green diamonds, okay? Otherwise, the ring's identical. The 3rd level, which was for people who didn't get an A or a B, this is the B ring, has doesn't have the diamonds in it and just has a green stone or a green backing behind the star. Okay, so this one is really cool because it has Dallas Stars on the one side. It has my name and the phrase relentless or the word relentless underneath. That was kind of what we were there. It says Stanley Cup champions across the top, Dallas Stars. Has the NHL logo and the Stanley Cup logo. What I'll tell you about this one was I had to have it recast and remolded because the bottom shank had started to wear thin. So my old friend, the late, great Jeff the Jeweler, did that for me way back when in Coppell, Texas. And so I have something that I don't wear very often, but I do bring out this time of the year for the Stanley Cup playoffs. This Stanley Cup ring. And another thing I'll tell you about the ring is you can wear the damn thing. The ones today are like as big as my hand, and you can't wear them. So there's that. And I have this. So I asked Joe Newendike for a stick from the 99 playoffs, and he gave me the last stick he used, and here it is. Here it is. And on the face of it, you'll be able to see, it says, "To my brother Ralph, you are the very best, Joe Newendike." So Newy won the Conn Smythe Trophy as MVP in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This was the stick he used in the deciding game. It's the only hockey stick I have that I've collected. Seriously, I don't have a stick from anybody else, and I really never asked anybody else for a stick. Mo gave me a couple of things way back, but I think I redonated them. I redonate them or regifted them to auctions or whatever. But this is from Newy. It's one of my most very prized possessions, and it's like I say, it's something that I look at about this time of year and remember those days way back when. And yeah, it was great. So thanks for joining for, again, this day in Dallas Stars show and tell lore with the Stanley Cup ring and the Joe Newendike stick. And, go Stars. Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite song of the whole show. Welcome to Ralph Show and Tell. This is where I take out stuff that I've collected. And a little note here, I don't really collect stuff. I really don't. I didn't ask guys for stuff over the years, not much. You can kind of see here today even that none of the stuff that I have from Sergei Zubov is from Sergei Zubov. I didn't want to be that guy that when they saw me come into the locker room, they went, "Oh God, what's he going to want today? Who's he?" Because there are guys like that. There are people like that who come into the room and always, "Hey, could you sign a hat for me? I got a thing tonight." And no, I didn't do a lot of that. So here's what we have from Sergei Zubov. Now, this picture is very important to me. This is a picture that it's Guy Carbonneau, Zuby, and me. And look who's holding the top of the Stanley Cup in this one. That's your buddy. And it's very important to me because that was in Toronto for Zuby's Hall of Fame. And it was such a big night, and it was so awesome to be there with him. So I was there for the ceremony. It was really something. I sat with Bob Gainey, and I helped Zuby write his speech a little bit. So it was nice to see him up there and do it. Now, for his jersey retirement, we got in the goodie bag, we have the Sergei Zubov. But look at this. It's starting to wear apart on me here. I use this so much. This is my little mug, my coffee traveling mug, and this is the only coffee traveling mug I use. And then they gave us this really nice commemorative puck, right? It says Sergei Zubov jersey retirement ceremony, January 28th, 2002. And do I get the puck out of here? Get the puck out of here. There it is. That's pretty cool, huh? Okay, so now my favorite number is 27, just because it was my birthday and all of that stuff. But when they asked me to drop the puck a year or so after I left the Stars in about 2016, they asked me, they were going to make a jersey for me. They said, "What number do you want?" Now, they hadn't yet put Zuby's number in the rafters, and I was still still campaigning for whatever I could, and anytime I could get 56. So the victory green jersey that the Stars gave me that night has 56 on it. There it is. And then this one, I'm not even sure where I got this, but this was one of his game used ones, but he didn't sign it, of course, because I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to, maybe I didn't ask him, but anyway, so this is my Sergei Zubov memorabilia, and Zuby's a very important person to me. He's a great friend. He's probably the greatest player I watched every single night in and night out of my career. And I don't say that lightly. No disrespect to anybody else, including Mike Modano. But Zuby, to me, was the greatest player I ever watched. So, hope you enjoyed this week's segment with Show and Tell with Ralph. And we'll do it again next week. Oh, yeah. Yes, time again for Ralph's Show and Tell with the best theme song in the world behind it back there. I'm Ralph. This is Show and Tell. Finland has been very important to the Dallas Stars over the years. They've had a very big scouting presence there, and they've had lots of great players from Finland. Their most recent acquisition, who was originally born in Finland, Mikko Rantanen. What a superb first series he had. But all this sort of started, as we like to say, with the godfather of Finland. That's my friend, Jere Lehtinen. This is a picture we took together at the Olympics in South Korea in 2018. Jere that year was inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame. He's a former Dallas Stars Stanley Cup winner. He won 3 Selke trophies as the best defensive forward in hockey. And let me tell you about that. Here's a great stat on Jere, okay? 108 playoff games, career, playing against the top offensive players in the world. He took 6 minor penalties in 108 playoff games, playing against the best. And I'm going to bet none of those 6 were actually penalties. How about that? So, he gave me this. I'm still always a little confused as to why Finland spells Finland Suomi, but it is Suomi. And in the front, he signed it, not on the back, so I have a trouble framing this one. It says, "To Ralph, Capel rules, Jere Lehtinen." Coppell, Texas, of course, where he and I both lived when he was playing and I was calling games. And that's this. This is one of his Olympic jerseys that he gave me. I'm very touched that he would do this for me. So, with the Godfather looking on from beyond, and with the current group of Finns, all of them getting ready to play the Winnipeg Jets in a best of 7 series to get to the conference final, today was the perfect day to bring this out and give a big to my friend Jere Lehtinen. Let's go. Huva, huva, Bali. Mita, mita. Let's go. I have missed that song so much. Welcome to the Ralphcast podcast, the TV show, Show and Tell with Ralph. Okay. An ice bucket, a bottle of wine, and a decanter set. Why are these so important? Well, here. This is a Met Center ice bucket. Met Center was the home of the Minnesota North Stars, their first home from 1967 to 1993. And I have an ice bucket from the Met Center. I'm not even sure where I got this, but I'm one of the few people that have this ice bucket, and I think it's friggin' tremendous with the design of the building on it and everything like that. Okay, now, skip to the decanter set. This, and the liquid inside of here I think is whiskey, but I'm not sure because I don't drink. A friend of mine filled it up when he was here with a bottle. And it's got the N-Star cut glass. So this was a set, a decanter set, that also came with glasses. And this glass here has my initials on it. Except they're not exactly my initials. They're my father's initials. My father was a young lawyer in 1967 and was part of a team that worked with the new ownership group of the Minnesota North Stars, getting them in. And as a gift, they gave him this N-Star decanter set that just happens to have my initials on it. He was Ralph Strange's senior. Now, the wine bottle. In 2008, I got this wine bottle from the then coach of the Phoenix Coyotes, Wayne Gretzky. This bottle is from Gretzky Estates. He's got the laser signature here, and then he personalized it. Ralph, best wishes, Wayne Gretzky 99, Merry Christmas 2008. So, I have this on my bar here, and again, I don't drink, so there's no risk of me opening it, but one of my admonishments to all my guests is, don't touch that wine bottle! It's got to stay just the way it is. Can I get it back in its case? I do. So, another successful day for a guy who hasn't had a drink in 39 years with all my Minnesota North Stars, decanter set, Met Center ice bucket, and Wayne Gretzky wine bottle. We'll do it again on the next installment of Show and Tell with Ralph. their season unravel in the final 3 weeks. I can't pick the Stars. The Avalanche get them, and I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really do, because I've been wrong for 4. Wrong before. Let me try it again. If the Avalanche get them, I hope they don't, because I've been wrong before. I'd love to be wrong here. And the good news is, if I'm wrong here, the Stars become the betting favorite to win the Western Conference. As I was mulling through options and searching for opportunities I hadn't yet thought of, my daughter Savannah told me about SubStack. It's the best thing that's happened to me in years. The intelligent contact, the serious... try that again. Let me try this. This way. As I was mulling through, okay? As I was mulling through options and searching for opportunities I hadn't yet thought of, my aired dirty laundry, name calling, and competitive struggles for power. Try that again. And competing struggles for power. We're going to go back to just the start of that paragraph. Ready? It's been quite the season for me to jump back in. The Stars gave us lots of fun for our time and money. I gave you my sarcasm with the Devil's Hockey Dictionary, published several pieces aimed at educating young broadcasters coming up in the business, and even co-authored a couple of priests with my buddy, the Roman Catholic priest. Let me try that again. It's good though. I'm pretty smooth on this one. Huh? I gave you my sarcasm with my Devil's Hockey Dictionary, published several pieces aimed at educating young broadcasters coming up in the business, and even co-authored a couple of pieces with my old buddy, the Roman Catholic priest. And considering his words from the day after regarding his desire to keep Pete DeBoer, I don't think he's thrilled with any of this. Jim Nill was asked and sort of brushed past the, how did Tom, try that again? Jim Nill was asked and sort of brushed by the, how did Tom go from no way to okay on the firing?